There are three official documents that at the same time did two things. First, they created our nation, the United States. Secondly, they defined and asserted your rights, your individual rights. So these three documents are first, the Declaration of Independence, second, the U.S. Constitution, and third, the Bill of Rights. Again, together, these three documents, we need to look at them together, not individually, because they're all part of a system of thought. But they created our nation, and they defend your rights. They keep you safe. So it's good to know about them. Let's look at the Bill of Rights, the third of those three. In 1787, there was a convention to write a constitution, a plan of government. We had beaten the English in 1781. We had signed a treaty with them in 1783, which established us as independent, as our own nation. We had a temporary form of government called the Articles of Confederation, but we needed to design something that would last. And that was the job of the convention in Philadelphia, the Constitutional Convention, which drafted and refined and finished the Constitution. However, before the Constitution could take effect, it had to be approved. So everybody, meaning all 13 colonies, had to sign on to it. There was great debate. As much as people wanted to establish the new nation, they wanted to make sure that their freedom would be protected. They wanted to make sure that the government would not try to tax them or regulate them or control them. So while people liked the new Constitution, they had some reservations, and they weren't sure they were going to approve it until they made a deal. The deal: we'll approve of it only if you give us a Bill of Rights. Okay, we will approve your Constitution, we'll make it the official law of the land only if you give us a very specific statement guaranteeing our rights. Ratification. The Constitution had to be ratified by the 13 states, and in order to get them to ratify it, the deal was they wanted a Bill of Rights. So in 1791, they got the Bill of Rights. The Constitution was approved. It had already been approved. It became the foundation of American government, and the Bill of Rights were the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. An amendment is an upgrade or an update, and the folks who made the Constitution knew that it could not go on for hundreds of years without occasional changes. So they built a process into the Constitution to change it, update it, upgrade it, whatever you want to call it. The Bill of Rights was the first tweak, the first adjustment, okay? Constitution 1.1, Constitution 1.2, upgrading it. The Bill of Rights does three things. First of all, it lists several specific rights that you have: freedom of speech, freedom of the press, right to own a firearm, right to have your house be your sanctuary, that it cannot be invaded or barged into by the government, etc., etc., your specific rights. It also describes legal processes, what makes a fair trial, what goes on in a courtroom, what can witnesses do, what can lawyers do, etc., etc. And finally, it gives a general statement of rights, just saying that you have more rights than you can imagine, more rights than are listed in the Constitution. The context of the Bill of Rights: it's the third of three documents that establish our nation as a country, and the third of three documents that establish your rights. So the Bill of Rights can only be fully understood along with the other two documents. And that is the story. So again, the Bill of Rights is part of a system, three-document system: Declaration of Independence, Constitution, Bill of Rights, those three together. We just looked at the last one, the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights itself is divided into three sections. The first several amendments talk about your particular rights. It names specific and concrete rights that you have. The middle section of several amendments talks about due process, how trials and juries and courtrooms and witnesses witnesses should be organized to make sure that a trial is fair. And the final section of the Bill of Rights is a very general section and talks about your rights and making sure the government does not overreach and try to take away your rights. Put it all together, and it's a neat package. It's a wonderful thing because it gives you both a country, the United States, and it gives you your rights. So protect them. Don't let the government mess with you. Don't let the government tax you. Don't let the government regulate you. Stand with the Bill of Rights.